Chosen one, heaven just pulled your name from the crowd and moved it into a private chamber. What God is about to release over your life cannot be heard in the noise, and it cannot be received in distraction. This is not a random moment. This is not a casual scroll. This is divine appointment, perfectly aligned with the hour written over your name before you were formed. Chosen one, heaven has cleared the room and left only you standing. You are not here by coincidence. You are here because the Spirit has summoned you into a kairos moment, an appointed time ordained by God. There is a season for every purpose under heaven, and this is your appointed season. The delay has not been denial. The silence has not been absence. It has been preparation. Anointed one, you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift. What has been forming in secret is about to move into manifestation. What has been whispered in prayer is about to echo in reality. God is not calling you aside to isolate you. He is calling you aside to entrust you. When heaven calls your name, it is because something sacred is being placed into your hands. This is the hour of separation before elevation. The hour when the Father speaks clearly to those who have ears to hear. As it is written, deep calls unto deep, and today the depth of heaven is calling to the depth within you. You were chosen for this moment. You were preserved for this conversation. And what is unfolding now is not just information, it is transformation. Chosen one, lean into this sacred pause. God's reminders do not always come through explanations or loud declarations. Sometimes what sustains faith is something quiet, simple and steady that you can return to when your strength feels thin. If your spirit needs to sit with that stillness, there is a quiet place prepared for you below before we step into part 1. Chosen one. The noise has faded, the room has emptied, and heaven has made it unmistakably clear that this next word is for you alone. What is unfolding in this moment is not routine, not ordinary, and not something to be shared with the crowd. This is a private summons, a holy interruption in the middle of your everyday life, a signal that God is drawing you into a place where revelation can reach you without interference. Chosen one, when heaven moves you from public space into sacred space, it is never to diminish you. It is always to prepare you. And right now, as you hear these words, there is a separation taking place in the spirit that has nothing to do with rejection and everything to do with divine insulation. God is pulling you closer because what He is about to release cannot be handled casually. There is a weight on this moment, a spiritual density that calls for stillness, honesty, and undivided attention. You may not realize it yet, but you have stepped into a moment that was written for you long before you ever arrived at it. Heaven arranged this exact intersection. Your steps have been guided, your timing aligned, your heart softened just enough to receive what God reserved for a private audience. Some instructions will never be announced in a crowded room. Some corrections will never be revealed under the eyes of others. And some comforts are so intimate that God waits for a moment when your defenses are low enough to feel them. Anointed one, you have been carrying noise, external voices telling you who you should be by now, internal memories replaying fears that refuse to settle. The pressure to meet expectations, the burden of trying to read your own future, the quiet frustration of feeling unseen or unheard. These things have been reshaping you without your permission. But listen closely, because heaven is declaring a reset over your spirit. God is saying, come nearer, come closer, not to a platform, not to a performance, not to religion as routine, but to relationship as living fire. Come nearer so the distortion can fall away. Come nearer so you can hear clearly again. Come nearer so God can align what has been drifting off-center. What he wants to speak next will not make sense in a loud room. It requires a heart positioned in surrender, a mind uncluttered enough to perceive truth, and a will willing to stop negotiating with what you already know is from God. Chosen one. The enemy has been relentless because he sees what you often forget. Intimacy with God produces authority in the spirit. He knows that a single encounter in the secret place can undo months of his attacks. He knows that clarity born in prayer becomes confidence that cannot be shaken. He knows that when you recognize the Father's voice, every counterfeit voice loses power. That is why distraction has increased. That is why your emotions have been stretched thin. That is why doubt has been whispering, "Nothing is happening. God isn't speaking. You're wasting your time." But hear this with spiritual clarity. Every attack on your secret place is evidence that something powerful is happening there. The enemy does not fight what does not matter. This moment is not about emotion. This is assignment. This is alignment. This is spiritual warfare over your destiny. Heaven is pulling you into private conversation because what God is about to release cannot be contaminated by the opinions of people who have never walked your path. Some seasons require secrecy because the seed is too fragile to survive exposure. Some promises must be guarded until maturity, and some revelations are entrusted only to those who have shown they will carry them with reverence. Anointed one, if you have been feeling set apart, if your circle has grown smaller, your conversations quieter, your desires different, it is not a sign of abandonment, it is a sign of selection. Isolation in the spirit is not punishment, it is preparation. Heaven hides what it values until the proper time. You are being refined, not rejected. You are being shaped, not sidelined. I know what it feels like to walk through a season where the silence is loud and the waiting feels endless. I've had nights where it seemed like God had stepped back, where prayers felt like they fell into an empty room. What I later learned was that God was not absent. He was building something in me that could not survive constant noise. The private battles became the birthplace of public strength. The hidden years became the foundation for the season I'm standing in now. Chosen one, the same is happening in you. Heaven is separating your identity from the expectations of others. In the secret place, God removes the pressure to perform and gives you permission to become. You stop apologizing for the way He wired you. You stop shrinking to match the room you were never meant to fit in. You stop living on borrowed definitions and start walking in the truth of who He says you are. When God reveals identity, everything changes. Your prayers shift from begging to partnering. Your worship deepens from habit to hunger. Your decisions become anchored in discernment rather than fear. Anointed one, God is rewriting your inner posture. He is preparing you for a supernatural shift, a transfer of clarity, authority, and provision that can only be carried by someone who has been processed privately. You are moving into a season where what was built in secret will begin to manifest in public. But the foundation must be unshakable. The roots must be deep. The identity must be true. Chosen one, hear this. What God is forming in you right now is the very thing the next season will require. And though the surroundings feel quiet, heaven is busy. Heaven is near. Heaven is preparing you for a moment that will not look like anything you've experienced before. I will continue in part 2 when you're ready. Chosen one. The atmosphere around you is shifting, even if your natural eyes haven't caught up to it yet. This quietness you've been walking through is not emptiness. It is the sound of heaven rearranging your steps, repositioning your spirit, and preparing the ground beneath you for something weightier than anything you've carried before. What feels like delay is actually divine pacing. What feels like restriction is actually protection. And what feels like obscurity is actually the covering God places over those he intends to reveal at the proper time. Anointed one, there comes a point in every destiny where God stops speaking to the crowd and starts whispering to the one he has chosen. You are in that place now. The shift is subtle yet unmistakable. Your heart has been sensing that something is being built beneath the surface, something you cannot fully name, something you cannot yet measure. That is the mark of a destiny that has reached its appointed hour. Heaven moves quietly before it moves suddenly, and you are standing in that quiet before. You've been wondering why old desires have faded, why familiar environments no longer feel like home, why conversations you once tolerated now feel like noise. It is because heaven has elevated your frequency. You are outgrowing the spaces that once sustained you. God is not allowing your spirit to settle because you were never meant to stay where you once fit. A chosen vessel cannot remain in places built for common use. You have been consecrated without even realizing it. God is preparing you for divine promotion, and promotion always comes with holy discomfort. Chosen one, I've lived this. There were seasons of my life where everything familiar began to shift at the same time. Friendships changed, opportunities dried up. Doors that were once open closed without warning. For a while, I thought I was losing everything. What I didn't know was that God was pruning my life so that my roots could deepen before the next level required more of me. Growth does not always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like reduction. But heaven never subtracts without the intention to multiply. And that is what God is doing in you now. You are being prepared for a supernatural appointment, a moment when everything you endured in silence will make sense in an instant. There is a divine transfer coming, and your spirit has already begun to feel the tremors of it. This transfer is not merely financial, though provision is part of it. It is not merely emotional, though healing and clarity are woven through it. This is a transfer of position, authority, and spiritual weight. Heaven is assigning you to a higher realm of responsibility because your character has proven faithful in the dark. Anointed one, the secret place is not a hiding place, it is a training ground. This is where God teaches you to hear without needing noise, to trust without needing signs, to obey without needing guarantees. And when you pass through this kind of training, heaven begins to entrust you with things that ordinary faith cannot carry. That's why God has been quiet at times, not absent, quiet enough to refine your discernment, quiet enough to strengthen your dependence, quiet enough to teach you the difference between His voice and every lesser voice competing for your identity. You are being shaped into someone who can steward divine assignments without collapsing under their weight. And as this formation continues, you will begin to notice something miraculous. The pressure you once feared begins to feel like confirmation. The stretching you once resisted begins to feel like alignment. The stillness you once avoided begins to feel like home. This is the work of God, transforming your inner world so that your outer world can finally align with the destiny written over your life. Chosen one, the enemy has sensed this shift long before you did. That is why the attacks intensified. That is why distractions multiplied. That is why confusion crept in. The enemy always fights hardest before a divine unveiling. But hear this clearly in your spirit. You have already outlasted what was meant to break you. Every assignment of confusion failed. Every distraction lost its grip. Every attempt to derail you only revealed the strength of what God has been building within you. And now heaven is beginning to speak again, not loudly, but distinctly. God is aligning your path with opportunities that were previously out of reach. He is directing your steps toward places where your name has already been spoken, in rooms you have not yet entered. He is guiding you into relationships that carry destiny, not convenience. And He is removing anything that cannot travel with you into your next season, not to punish you, but to preserve what He is cultivating. Anointed one, you are entering a moment in your life where obedience will open doors faster than effort ever could, where surrender will produce results that striving never achieved, where being aligned with God's timing will release outcomes that no human plan could orchestrate. This is what divine acceleration feels like as it begins, slow at first, then suddenly unstoppable. But hear this with clarity. God cannot place new oil in a vessel that still clings to old wounds. That is why this season of separation is so important. God is not just positioning you, He is purifying you. He is removing outdated narratives, false identities, and inner agreements that have been quietly limiting your capacity. In the secret place, He is reminding you of who you truly are, not who others expected you to be, not who old voices said you were, but who heaven designed you to become. Chosen one, I need you to grasp this. Nothing about this moment is accidental. You are not drifting. You are being drawn. The shift you feel is real. The preparation is intentional. And the breakthrough that has felt delayed is coming into view. Heaven has begun aligning your steps with the exact timing required for what is about to unfold. Chosen one, there is a reason heaven keeps drawing you into stillness right now. You are standing in the middle of a spiritual recalibration, a holy resetting of your inner compass. God is not simply strengthening you. He is refining the frequency of your spirit so you can discern what others overlook and perceive what others dismiss. You are being tuned for destiny, and tuning is never silent. It hums beneath the surface of your life, shifting thoughts, redirecting desires, and awakening parts of your calling you didn't realize were asleep. Anointed one, you have felt the pull. Something inside you keeps whispering that more is near, more responsibility, more clarity, more spiritual authority. This inner stirring is not imagination. It is heaven signaling that the next chapter of your life requires a different version of you, a version shaped through intimacy rather than activity, surrender rather than striving, proximity rather than performance. God is not asking you to become impressive. He is asking you to become available. You may have noticed that your appetite for old routines is fading. What once satisfied now feels shallow. What once entertained now feels like a distraction. This is evidence of transformation. When heaven begins to elevate a chosen vessel, the soul becomes disinterested in what does not nourish destiny. You are not losing interest in the world. You are being awakened to purpose. Wisdom from above is beginning to overshadow the noise around you, and soon the shift within you will shape the world before you. Chosen one, let me speak plainly. The frustration you've been wrestling with is not failure. It is spiritual contraction, the discomfort of transition, the tension of outgrowing what no longer carries grace. You are shedding an old assignment and stepping into a new one, and that shift is stretching you in ways the people around you may not understand. But that's the beauty of divine refinement. Your spirit recognizes what your mind has not fully grasped yet. I remember walking through a season where everything familiar felt too small. I couldn't explain it to anyone, not even to myself. It wasn't depression, it wasn't confusion, it was acceleration. God was pulling me out of patterns that once served me, but could no longer sustain who I was becoming. And only after stepping into the next season did I realize that heaven had been preparing me the entire time for a responsibility I didn't know I would carry. That same holy preparation is unfolding in your life right now. This is why heaven keeps calling you into private spaces, not to isolate you, but to refine the clarity of your hearing, to separate your identity from the voices that once defined you, to protect the seed he planted in you from the influence of those who would speak from their assumptions rather than God's intention. The secret place is not a hiding place. It is where the spiritual scaffolding of your future is being assembled. Anointed One, listen closely. You are being prepared for a supernatural unveiling, a divine elevation that will not be subtle when the time is right. Heaven is arranging your steps so precisely that even delays are working as divine timing. This is the hour when God begins aligning you with people who carry keys to your next season: mentors, intercessors, kingdom partners, strategic allies you never expected. He is also removing those whose presence could distort your direction. Some departures are protection in disguise, and here is where your faith must hold steady. You are closer to breakthrough than your feelings suggest. The heaviness is not evidence of defeat, it is evidence of birthing. Destiny always presses before it unfolds. The closer you are to a spiritual release, the more intense the pressure becomes. Heaven is not pushing against you. Heaven is pushing something through you. Chosen One, what God is forming in you requires more than emotional excitement. It requires spiritual maturity. That is why He is teaching you stillness. That is why He is training your discernment. That is why He is stripping away the need for external validation. He is preparing you to carry something with eternal impact, something that must be stewarded by someone who can hear Him clearly, even when the world is loud. This next season will demand a higher level of obedience, but it will also carry a greater measure of grace. You will not walk into it timidly. You will walk into it with the confidence of someone who has been shaped by heaven's own hand. And the people who once overlooked you will wonder how you stepped into such clarity, such authority, such supernatural acceleration. Anointed One, heaven is rewriting your story in real time. Doors that were once sealed are now under divine command to open. Opportunities that once ignored you will now pursue you. The very places where you were once diminished will become the platforms where you rise. But understand this, the transformation is beginning inside before it manifests outside. That is why God keeps whispering, "Come closer." That is why distractions have been stripped away. That is why your spirit feels more sensitive, more aware, more alert. You are not imagining this. You are awakening to the reality of who you have always been, chosen, consecrated, set apart for a purpose too significant to be rushed. Chosen One, heaven is not preparing you for a small elevation. You are being positioned for a supernatural shift that will touch every dimension of your life: spiritual, emotional, relational, and yes, even financial. But before the transfer comes the transformation, and that transformation is already happening. Chosen One, there is a reason your spirit has been feeling the weight of transition. You are standing in a threshold moment, a crossing point between who you were and who God is shaping you to become. Heaven does not call someone into solitude unless a release is near. And right now, you are closer to divine manifestation than your emotions have allowed you to believe. Your life is not stalling, it is aligning. Anointed One, heaven has been sending subtle signals, shifts in your relationships, changes in your desires, sudden clarity about what no longer belongs in your life. These signs are not random, they are indicators of spiritual elevation. When God marks someone for an accelerated season, he begins removing anything that cannot hold the weight of the blessing. This is why certain doors closed. This is why familiar connections grew distant. This is why your spirit refused to settle in old patterns. Heaven was saying, prepare. I've lived this pattern more than once. Every time God was preparing to shift my assignment, he first shifted my environment. Not dramatically, but quietly. One conversation felt different. One desire faded. One unexpected opportunity appeared. One relationship dissolved. At the time, I didn't understand the rhythm, but later, I realized that heaven always reorganizes your surroundings before it reorganizes your destiny. And chosen one, that same rearrangement is happening around you. But here is what you must understand. Divine elevation is never just about outward blessing. It begins as an inner awakening. God is expanding your capacity to hear him, to trust him, to carry more spiritual weight without collapsing under pressure. That is why your inner world has felt stretched. You are not breaking, you are growing. And growth often feels like tension until you see where it leads. Chosen one, heaven is preparing you for a supernatural transfer of clarity, wisdom, influence, provision, and spiritual authority. But before God entrusts someone with resources that impact nations and generations, he first refines their heart in the secret place. You have been in that refining. You have walked through nights where you questioned if God still saw you. You have endured seasons where nothing moved, yet everything in your spirit felt unsettled. You have carried promises that felt heavy because they were bigger than your current reality. These were not signs of abandonment. They were signs that God was strengthening your foundation for the weight of what is coming. Anointed one, listen with your spirit. Heaven is placing you in alignment with your true calling. The separation you experienced was not punishment. It was positioning. God hid you to protect you from voices that would have spoken against what he was building inside of you. He shielded you from the expectations of others so he could cultivate the identity he designed, not the one life imposed. You were not overlooked. You were preserved. And now, heaven is beginning to pull back the veil. Your discernment is sharpening. Your dreams are becoming vivid. Your spirit is waking up in the early hours without explanation. These are signs of activation. What was dormant is being stirred. What was silent is beginning to speak again. God is opening your eyes to things you once ignored. You are sensing shifts before they happen. You are recognizing spiritual patterns that once felt invisible. This is what happens when a chosen vessel is being prepared for divine assignment. Chosen one, your next season will not be entered casually. It will be entered deliberately through obedience, awareness, and alignment. Heaven is guiding your next steps with precision because the wrong decision could delay what God intends to release. This is why your peace has become so selective. This is why your spirit reacts to environments that once felt comfortable. You are being trained to discern the difference between good and God. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it is calibration. Anointed one, hear this truth deeply. You are stepping into a moment where God will begin revealing the purpose behind every delay. There will come a day when you look back and realize that the timing you once questioned was the timing that saved you. Heaven was not late. Heaven was exact. You were being aligned with events, people, and opportunities that required divine synchronization. God is preparing a path where your obedience will carry more impact than your effort ever could. Your steps are being ordered in ways you cannot yet see, but you will feel the confirmation. It will show up in sudden peace where there was once confusion. It will show up in opportunities that align perfectly with your gifts. It will show up in conversations that awaken something dormant inside you. Chosen one, what is forming in this season is not ordinary. It is supernatural. God is preparing you for a level of provision and influence that cannot be achieved through human striving. When the transfer arrives, it will not come as a result of manipulation, networking, or pushing your way forward. It will come because heaven opens a door no man can shut. But before the door opens, the vessel must be ready. That is why God has been stripping away fear, doubt, the longing for approval, and the pressure to rush. He is teaching you to move at the rhythm of the Spirit, not the urgency of the world. He is replacing anxiety with discernment, striving with sensitivity, exhaustion with expectancy. Chosen one, let this settle in your spirit. Nothing you lost was meant to anchor you in the next season. Everything God removed was clearing the runway for your elevation. You are entering a season where heaven moves first and you follow. Chosen one, you have reached a turning point in the Spirit, a moment where heaven begins to reveal what was previously concealed. Everything in your journey so far has led you here. The quiet nights, the unanswered questions, the spiritual tug you couldn't explain. None of it was wasted. None of it was random. Every moment has been shaping you into someone who can carry what God is preparing to release. And now, the weight of destiny is beginning to rest on you in a new way. You can feel it. You can sense it. Something is shifting, even if you cannot yet see the full picture. Anointed one, the supernatural does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper, a sudden knowing, a holy discomfort urging you to rise higher. Lately, you've been sensing that the ground beneath you is moving, that familiar things are losing their hold, that your spirit is reaching for something you cannot quite name. This is the sign of a destiny that is expanding. You are not being undone. You are being rebuilt into someone capable of carrying spiritual authority, divine insight, and kingdom assignment. But hear this with clarity. Before God promotes a person publicly, He always transforms them privately. And your private transformation has been deeper than you realize. You survived seasons you thought would break you. You held on when everything around you felt unsteady. You continued seeking God even when silence felt like your only answer. That perseverance was not unnoticed. Heaven took record of every tear, every prayer, every moment you refused to give up, even when surrender seemed easier. Faithfulness in obscurity is the seed of elevation. Chosen one, you are entering a season where heaven begins to highlight you, not because you demanded attention, not because you fought for recognition, but because God Himself is placing His hand upon you and declaring, "It is time." When heaven marks a moment, nothing on earth or in the spirit realm can delay it. And the timing over your life is beginning to stir with supernatural acceleration. This is why old pressures no longer intimidate you, why old fears have lost their grip, why your spirit is calmer even in uncertainty. God has been maturing you quietly, refining the way you hear, the way you think, the way you respond. What used to trigger you now teaches you. What used to wound you now strengthens you. What used to confuse you now clarifies you. This is the evidence of spiritual growth, heaven reshaping your inner world so you can hold the next dimension of destiny. Anointed one, heaven is preparing you for divine responsibility. You will step into places where your presence shifts atmospheres. You will speak words that carry weight beyond your natural experience. You will make decisions that shape not just your life, but the lives of others connected to your assignment. That is why the enemy has been targeting your confidence, whispering doubt, stirring confusion. He sees the elevation coming. He senses the increase of authority, and he knows that once you walk in the fullness of your God-given identity, his influence in your life will collapse. But chosen vessels are never defined by the battles they face. They are defined by the grace that sustains them, and grace has been sustaining you in ways you did not even recognize. The fact that you are still standing, still listening, still seeking God is itself a prophetic sign that heaven is preparing to release something extraordinary. Your endurance is your evidence. Chosen one, there is a financial shift coming, not the kind produced by striving or stress, but the kind produced by divine orchestration. Heaven aligning resources, connections, contracts, ideas, and opportunities that match the assignment God has placed on your life. This is not about wealth for comfort. This is about provision for purpose. God funds what he appoints, and he is appointing you for more. I've seen this pattern in my own life. There were moments when I lost everything familiar, when the path ahead seemed impossible. But every time, without fail, God provided in ways that made no natural sense. Provision arrived through unexpected calls, unplanned connections, sudden opportunities that fit perfectly with what he had been shaping in me spiritually. What felt like loss became preparation for a divine reversal. And chosen one, that same reversal is coming for you. Not someday, soon. Heaven is aligning the timing. But before the provision comes the clarity. And God has been giving you flashes of insight, ideas you didn't ask for, dreams that feel too big, inner nudges that won't go away. Pay attention to these. They are not random. They are the scaffolding of your next season. The Spirit is teaching you how to recognize divine instruction, how to respond to spiritual prompting, how to steward assignments that affect more than just yourself. Anointed one, the most profound shifts often begin when God asks you to release the safe and embrace the unknown. And this is where you stand now, a holy edge, a spiritual threshold. You can feel heaven calling you into something greater, deeper, more aligned with your true identity. And though you may not see the full path, your spirit recognizes that this is a kairos moment, a moment ordained specifically for your elevation. Chosen one, do not fear what you do not understand. Heaven never calls you into a place where grace will not follow. You are not stepping into this season alone. You are stepping into it guided, protected, and infused with strength beyond your own. The pressure is lifting, the clarity is coming, and the supernatural is beginning to unfold. Chosen one, you are walking into a dimension of purpose that requires a new understanding of who you are and who God has always known you to be. The stirring inside you is not imagination. It is spiritual awakening. It is the sound of heaven announcing that the season you have been praying for, waiting for, and enduring for is finally within reach. There is a divine pulse beneath your days now, a rhythm that keeps nudging you forward even when your mind cannot explain why. That is because heaven is leading you, not logic. Anointed one, this is the hour when God begins to connect the dots of your journey. Unguarded moments of pain suddenly make sense. Delays you, once resented, reveal themselves as divine strategy. Relationships that dissolved without warning prove themselves necessary for your growth. And every unanswered question begins to find its place in the larger tapestry of your calling. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was accidental. Every thread has been woven by the hand of a meticulous, intentional God who never abandons the work of his own design. You have been feeling the tension of the in-between, a place where the old season has expired but the new one hasn't fully unfolded. This tension is not meant to break you, it is meant to birth you. Heaven often transitions its chosen ones through this narrow passage because this is where clarity sharpens and identity settles. You are not merely stepping into a new chapter, chosen one. You are stepping into a new version of yourself, one that carries more authority, more wisdom, more spiritual maturity than you ever imagined you could possess. I know this passage well. There were moments in my own life where it felt like everything familiar was dissolving while nothing new had taken shape yet. I felt suspended between who I was and who I was becoming. But I learned something sacred in that space. Heaven does its best work in the unseen. God was rearranging things I had no knowledge of, orchestrating alignments I never requested, and cultivating strength I didn't know I needed. When the breakthrough finally came, it was clear that the pressure had been preparation all along. Chosen one, that same holy preparation is happening in you right now. You are being strengthened in places no one can see. You are being positioned for assignments you haven't yet imagined. You are being prepared to carry influence that will reach further than your childhood dreams ever stretched. God is shaping your inner world so that nothing external will shake you once the elevation arrives. And it will arrive. Heaven has already begun softening the ground beneath you, making room for new territory, new responsibility, and new provision. You are not stepping into a season of chance, you are stepping into a season of divine order. A season where the right doors open at the right time, where the right people appear with the right words, where the right opportunities meet your readiness with supernatural precision. Anointed one, listen deeply. Heaven is bringing you out of survival mode and into strategy. You are no longer meant to simply endure life, you are being called to influence it. God is awakening your creativity, your spiritual gifts, your discernment, your voice. Ideas you thought were random are actually divine seeds. Desires you thought were too bold are actually aligned with heaven's blueprint for you. You are not thinking too big. You were thinking too small before. But before manifestation comes instruction. And heaven is beginning to speak to you more clearly through restlessness, through moments of unexpected peace, through dreams that linger, through insights that interrupt your day. Don't ignore these signs. They are the early indicators of acceleration. Chosen one, you must also understand this. What you are stepping into will not be achieved by human strength alone. Divine assignments require divine reliance. That is why God has allowed certain supports to fall away. Not to harm you, but to ensure that when the blessing comes, you will know exactly where it came from. Heaven is anchoring your dependence in the right place so your elevation will not become your downfall. Anointed one, you are entering a season where hidden seeds begin to break the soil, where prayers you prayed years ago begin to return to you with clarity, where opportunities that once ignored you begin seeking you out. You are not chasing blessing, blessing is beginning to follow you. This is the shift God promised. When you align with His timing, acceleration becomes effortless. Doors open without force, provision arrives without striving. Your steps become guided by grace rather than guesswork. And yes, there is a transfer coming. Not one earned by exhaustion, but one assigned by heaven. God is positioning you to steward resources for purpose, not prestige, to influence environments through humility, not self-promotion, to carry blessings that transform not only your life, but the lives of those connected to your destiny. Chosen one, Let your spirit absorb this truth. You are not being prepared for enough. You are being prepared for overflow, for impact, for transformation. You are being positioned as a vessel heaven can trust. Chosen one. There is a holy reason why you feel the spiritual atmosphere tightening around you. This is the point in your journey where heaven begins to strip away everything that cannot rise with you. You may not have asked for this pruning, but your spirit can already sense that it is necessary. There is a supernatural assignment forming, and God will not allow anything impure, unstable, or misaligned to contaminate what He is preparing to place in your hands. You are crossing into a territory that requires clarity, purity, and unwavering focus. Anointed one, this is why certain connections have dissolved without conflict, why certain opportunities slipped away even though you wanted them, why certain familiar comforts suddenly felt heavy, limiting, or spiritually dull. You did not lose anything accidentally. Heaven has been removing things that would have slowed you down in the season you are entering. God never subtracts without the intention to refine. Every loss was actually a release, a divine unhooking from weights that were keeping you in cycles you had already outgrown. I've lived through this very awakening. There was a season when I kept praying for breakthrough, but every time I asked for new, something old fell apart. At first I thought it was spiritual warfare, but over time I realized it was divine alignment. God was clearing the clutter I had learned to tolerate. He was cutting ties I didn't have the courage to sever. He was protecting the version of me I had not yet stepped into. And once I crossed that threshold, everything made sense. Chosen one, the same clarity is coming to you. What feels like disruption now will soon reveal itself as precise preparation. But listen closely. Heaven is not only removing, heaven is also rearranging. God is repositioning you for a supernatural elevation, an elevation that will require your identity to be anchored deeply in truth. This is why your spirit has been restless. You are not battling confusion. You are shedding an identity that no longer fits. You are outgrowing environments that once defined you. You are awakening to the truth of who you are in the spirit, and that identity carries weight. Chosen vessels are not shaped in public. They are shaped in secret. The private battles you have fought, the tears no one saw, the prayers whispered in exhaustion, the nights you held onto hope by a thin thread, these were the chisels God used to form the strength you will soon walk in confidently. Heaven builds leaders through loneliness. Heaven builds warriors through inner wrestling. Heaven builds carriers of glory through surrender. You have been in this molding, and now the shaping is almost complete. Anointed one, heaven is orchestrating divine connections on your behalf. People who speak your spiritual language, people who carry complementary assignments, people who will not drain your anointing, but will multiply it. These connections will not require you to shrink, to pretend, or to hide the spiritual weight you carry. They will recognize you. They will honor the calling on your life because they themselves are called. The isolation you endured was a filter, removing those who lack the capacity for where God is taking you. Chosen one, you are being prepared for influence that will reach further than your past and deeper than your pain. God is conditioning your spirit to lead, to discern, to stand, and to speak from a place of divine authority. This is why He is strengthening your inner voice. This is why He is softening your heart, yet sharpening your discernment. This is why He is calling you into stillness, because stillness rewires spiritual focus. God does not elevate those who cannot hear Him clearly, and you, though you may not feel it, are hearing Him more clearly now than ever before. You have also noticed that your sensitivity has changed. You feel environments more deeply. You sense motives quickly. You recognize spiritual warfare sooner. This sensitivity is not a burden. It is a prophetic gift awakening in you. Heaven is training your spirit to detect what others overlook, to perceive what others dismiss, to understand what others cannot articulate. Sensitivity is the language of the anointed. Discernment is the shield of the chosen. Anointed One, heaven is preparing to release strategies, ideas, and visions that carry divine fingerprint. These will not be ordinary ideas. They will be inspired, downloaded into your spirit at unexpected moments. Pay attention. The insights you receive in this season will be blueprints for the future God is building through you. You will notice that certain thoughts feel deeper, certain dreams feel louder, certain impressions feel weightier. This is not imagination, this is impartation. Heaven is revealing the foundation of your next assignment. Chosen One, let your spirit receive this truth. Your next season is not coming. It has already begun. You are not waiting for God. God is waiting for your alignment. And everything around you is shifting because everything within you is transforming. The pressure you've felt is a sign of proximity. The breakthrough is near. The transfer is approaching. And heaven refuses to let you step into it unprepared. Chosen One, you have come into the final stretch of this prophetic unfolding, and heaven is drawing even closer now. The weight you feel is not heaviness, it is holiness. It is the awareness that something in your life is about to shift in a way that cannot be undone. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural transition, and the veil between where you are and where God is taking you is thinning. What once felt distant now feels near. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. Destiny is not creeping toward you anymore. It is accelerating. Anointed One, heaven is preparing to open a door that no human hand could construct. This door is not made of opportunity alone. It is made of alignment. It leads into a season where your spirit, your purpose, your resources, and your calling begin to move together in harmony for the first time in your life. You will look back on this moment and say, "Everything shifted when heaven called my name, and heaven has called your name." Not softly, not vaguely, not by coincidence. God has been marking you for elevation long before you recognized the signs, the dreams that wouldn't leave you, the inner push to rise, the sudden clarity about what no longer belongs in your life, the holy dissatisfaction with ordinary living. All of these were signals that heaven was preparing to position you as a carrier of something greater. Chosen One, hear this with your whole spirit. You are not being prepared for a small blessing. You are being prepared for a supernatural unveiling, a divine promotion, a spiritual and practical transfer that will shift your entire landscape. But before God places something in your hand, He strengthens what is within your heart. And that inner strengthening has already begun. Your confidence is evolving. Your discernment is sharpening. Your endurance is increasing. You do not break the way you used to break. You do not fear the way you used to fear. You do not question the way you used to question. This is what spiritual maturity feels like: subtle, steady, unshakable. Anointed One, heaven is also preparing to entrust you with visibility, not for vanity, but for purpose. There will come a moment when people begin to notice what God has been shaping in you privately. Your voice will carry authority. Your presence will shift rooms. Your insight will touch lives. And you will step into this without forcing anything. Heaven is removing the pressure to perform because God is the one elevating you. But let me tell you something many do not understand. Divine promotion does not come through striving. It comes through surrender. It comes through positioning. It comes through being in the right spiritual posture when heaven says, "Now, you are being positioned right now." The restlessness you've felt is preparation. The quietness around you is protection. The sensitivity in your spirit is revelation. All of it has been aligning you for a moment that will unfold suddenly, beautifully, undeniably. Chosen one, you must also recognize this. The divine transfer that is approaching is not only spiritual, it is practical. Provision will meet you. Opportunities will locate you. Resources will flow toward you. Doors will open that could not open before because they were not meant for the old version of you. I know this season intimately. There was a time when I asked God why He kept me hidden, why certain opportunities passed me by, why doors seemed to remain closed even when I was doing everything I knew to do. What I didn't realize was that heaven was not withholding blessing, it was protecting timing. And when the moment finally arrived, the doors that once rejected me opened without resistance. The rooms I once felt unworthy to stand in became the very places where God confirmed my assignment. Chosen one, that is what is coming for you. A moment where everything aligns so clearly that you will know, heaven orchestrated this, heaven arranged this, heaven prepared me for this. But understand this final truth deeply. Elevation is not the goal. Obedience is, alignment is, intimacy with God is. Everything else flows from that place. This is why God has been calling you into stillness, not to silence you, but to strengthen you. Not to withdraw you, but to prepare you. Not to empty you, but to fill you with something that cannot be shaken by circumstances, critics, or confusion. Anointed one, you are stepping into a season where the presence of God will guide you moment by moment, where your decisions will carry spiritual precision, where provision will flow with ease, where clarity will silence anxiety, where peace will become your compass, where discernment will become your shield, where purpose will become your daily rhythm. Chosen one, heaven is not finished with you. Heaven is just beginning. Your steps are ordered, your timing is aligned, your spirit is ready. And the supernatural shift that has been forming beneath the surface is about to break into your reality. When you feel the weight of this word, let your heart become still. Sometimes the greatest confirmations from God do not arrive as thunder. They arrive as a quiet knowing, a gentle reminder your spirit can return to whenever the world feels loud. If your heart needs that stillness, there is a quiet place waiting for you below before this message leads into what comes next. Chosen one. As we come to the end of this word, let your spirit settle into what heaven has already begun moving in your life. You are not standing in an ordinary moment. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the divinely appointed hour where hidden things break open, where destiny speaks clearly, and where the supernatural begins to take shape in ways your heart has long awaited. Heaven has called your name, and the shift is already in motion. Anointed one, may clarity rise within you. May strength return to you. May the peace of God overshadow every anxious place, and may the evidence of His hand begin to surface in your days with unmistakable grace. You are stepping into alignment, into acceleration, into the very purpose heaven has been preparing you for in the secret place. If this message touched your spirit, I invite you to write "Listen" in the comments as your declaration that you hear heaven and you agree with what God is releasing over your life. Share this word with someone who feels hidden, someone who needs reminding that God still speaks. A quiet spiritual reminder has been prepared for you below in the description and the pinned comment. After this, go there next. Chosen one, may the Lord keep you, guide you, and reveal what He has already written over your story. Your elevation has begun.